Hello, everyone. This is Jeana at Art of Skincare. This is our Tuesday morning skincare show. And today we have Pooja on board with us. And
Hello.
I'm so excited to have her here. Pooja and I met a couple of years ago, and we discovered we have a real mutual passion in rejuvenating the skin and using microcurrent to do that. Pooja, can you please share with us what brought you into microcurrent? Who are you and what do you do? Share that with us.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Pooja Johari. I am the founder of 70 Wellness. When I did my master's in biomedical engineering from USC, I was exposed to a lot of current-based technologies that were mainly used in medicine for medical purposes. I was also exposed to some of them that were post-stroke patients. I worked with Bell palsy or cerebral palsy. We were doing implantable using those. So I got a lot of exposure to what current can do to work on different parts of the body, whether it's muscles or skin and things like that. I also grew up where my parents were manufacturing a lot of these non-invasive medical devices. We still are, and that's where our devices are getting manufactured even now. So when I realized that my main passion lied in finding a solution for non-invasive and anti-aging or aging gracefully per se, to bring those devices to life. And that's when I founded 7E. And my passion for microcurrent started growing. Microcurrent originally was used in medicine for wound healing. And that's where it was discovered that it was creating more benefits for skin condition as well. But it was a very crude way early on.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started 7E, we got that microcurrent to really channelize and work on specific parts and specific skin condition, as well as talking to the muscles. So that's
Wonderful.
where my background is.
Yeah, so microcurrent, as you said, it's really evolved over the
Yes.
years. I know in my first exposure to microcurrent 15 years ago, and some of the devices that were being made then, there was no real understanding of what the different waveforms do. Many devices were just throwing in a scramble of different waveforms and intensities and hoping one of them would do the trick. So in talking to you, what I've discovered is that you really honed that science down and taken it to an
Yes.
art, really. So you found the specific waveforms that address different conditions in the skin. Can you talk a little bit more about that for us?
Absolutely. So you are absolutely right. Early on, the devices were so um, big. They were, you can imagine how the computers were, and now the technology
Mm-hmm.
has gotten them smaller. Similarly, in microcurrent world, the devices were pretty huge, and there was no targeted waveforms that were able to work on specific skin conditions or muscles.
Mm-hmm.
When we created 7E technologies, which were specifically Myolift, we discovered and found that if we are able to create in a very clean way the waveforms, we can target specific parts of the skin. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at some of our devices, we have 8 different waveforms, and the reason is that if you don't have any white noise around those signals, then the signal can really channel and reach the targeted areas, and
Mm-hmm.
it all depends on the waveform.
Mm-hmm.
The way when we are educating, we talk about the waveform is divided into separate segments. There is one which is called the wave shape. So the shape of the waveform defines the the depth or the type of signal that is going to enter and how deep. The frequency is something that also defines what you are talking and asking the muscles to do.
Mhm.
And then there is intensity, and then there's duty cycle. So all of these elements actually are forming a waveform.
Mhm.
And then you can use those elements to really target what you're trying to do with those signals. The importance is to understand the communication. So once you create that channel of communication, then the device is externally talking and creating that application. So now I have to talk backwards. I went ahead of
I know,
myself.
it's
I'm so
okay. You're a
sorry.
microcurrent geek, and that's why we have you here, so you can geek out with us a little bit on what happens.
So I should step back. So microcurrent is really mimicking our body's natural impulses.
Mhm.
So brain uses a very tiny electrical signal, and it is talking to the muscles, the skin, and all of our proximity. We have trillions of neurological pathways in our body, right? There are some signals that are literally going from our proximity, from our limbs to the brain, and those are the pain signals to tell the brain that something is wrong and we need to fix it. Versus there are some new neurons that are taking those signals to those skin cells or muscles to contract, relax, or rejuvenate, and all of that. So these are the signals that we are trying to mimic externally through the device.
Mhm.
And so microcurrent is mimicking those signals for working on the facial skin and facial muscles to do certain things. For example, for lifting, for toning, for as well as for clarifying and all of that
Mhm.
application. And that's what we have created in Triwave, those three different signals and waveforms.
Yeah. And I think those of you listening can see why I got so excited when I met Pooja, because I am not I don't know those waveforms. I don't know anything about that. All I knew was that I wanted to do this. What I see is facial wasting. What I see is this loss of firmness and loss of vitality, and I want to go after that. And then Pooja is that brain that said, okay, let's go after it this way. And so it was a beautiful, beautiful inspiration that we had there. Pooja, please talk to us about real microcurrent. I know this is something you talk about a lot, and there's just a lot of different microcurrent devices on the market today doing all kinds of different things. But if we can just take it down to what is true microcurrent?
Yes, thank you for asking. True microcurrent is something that can mimic the signal and deliver the current precisely into the muscles to really contract and relax those muscles. And not all facial muscles can be treated the same way. We have 32 facial muscles, but some of them need to be relaxed because they are overworked
Yeah.
and they are over tightened.
Yeah.
Exactly. So those are the areas that we typically in medicine or in medical spas, people use Botox.
Mm-hmm.
They are relaxing those muscles and then they are freezing it. But what we are, and freezing causes atrophy, and over time, it causes those muscles to really weaken more and create more crevices of the
Mm-hmm.
crease lines
Mm-hmm.
or wrinkles. Um, we I'm trying to consolidate and see. There are so many devices out into the market. You're absolutely right. We
So,
actually,
yeah, in particular, you have two poles. You have, well, here's my
yes,
device. So we are running current through these two poles.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So when you're running the current between these two poles,
Mm-hmm.
you are creating that signal, and then it is going from one to the other. And typically in previous eras of technology, we had to understand which one is negative and which one is positive. But because it is oscillating, between the two, you do not need to worry which direction it is going because of that oscillation between negative and positive.
Okay.
The waveform that we have created is precisely true because it is able to, first of all, create that polarity. It is between the polarity. It has the square waveform, which is something that talks to the muscles, and it creates like a workout regimen. So it is talking to those muscles to either relax or tighten and shorten. So you can either shorten and tighten them, or you can relax them. It's two separate waveforms. The square waveforms are the ones that talk to the muscles. It also has a frequency, which is the microcurrent frequency. That is also creating the right kind of application and bringing a lot of blood circulation. It is agitating toxins internally. And as you were describing about the rejuve, which is a lymphatic drainage kind of waveform, the lymphatic system is very close to the skin, and it carries all the toxins and bacteria out of the body through our lymph nodes, through sweat glands and whatnot. Um, but it also brings in the oxygen and nutrients to the skin cells.
Yeah.
And if that is clogged up, and if that toxin is not moving, then the resultant is that it has a lot of inflammation, and it is not able to bring that nutrient and oxygen to the skin cells, creating dull and dehydrated skin, which eventually causes a lot of eczema, rosacea, acne kind of issues.
And collagen
So,
loss. If you have not
yes.
optimal conditions going on, you're not getting those fibroblasts firing to tell your body to create more collagen. Thus, we're seeing that wasting.
Yes, exactly. So, Triwave, for example, Riju has that true waveform that targets the lymph system only, and it agitates and it gets those flow of the toxins started again. A lot of people think that they have fat tissues develop, but it's actually inflammation,
Yes, that
and
jawline.
that exactly. So you can get that contour and you can get all those toxins out. So many times when we are working with clients, they feel like it's dripping into their,
Yes.
system. So
Yes, I love
definitely,
that. As we're doing the rejuve setting in particular, you'll just start swallowing and swallowing because, yeah, you're releasing a lot of
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell
So,
us about, oh, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Go ahead and finish what you're saying.
no, so I was just bringing up that with true microcurrent, you are able to really control and work on certain areas of the skin cells, bringing those results of ATP production, which is really huge. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate, and it is the life energy for those skin cells. It is something that the muscles also use to work and to lengthen and to hold and create that collagen production.
It's that life energy, the spark plug.
Yeah.
I love that. So when we see a device for microcurrent, that see with this we have two different, well, with this we have two different poles. But if we see a device that's just one metal part, all one metal part, are they able to run between two poles when they're doing that? Or
No,
no?
they're not. They're not. That is literally galvanic.
Ah,
It's a galvanic current. It's like a DC current that
okay.
doesn't oscillate, doesn't go through the two poles. What it is doing, it is creating an opening of the channel, or rather cell permeability,
Yes.
which just means that it causes some of the products to push a little bit more.
Penetrate better.
And
So people
mhm,
who are using a device like that, if they think they're seeing firming, it's more likely they're seeing a rehydration or products
exactly.
coming in and plumping the skin. They're not actually getting in and doing any real work because there's no poles that
No.
you're running between.
Exactly. And I wanted to bring up the difference between galvanic and
I
microcurrent
love
because
that.
sometimes
Hmm.
people just confuse between the two. So galvanic is really, as I said, it is opening up and creating some of that cell permeability. The results are very dependent on the products that you are using. It
Hmm.
could be if you are using chemical-based products, then you are literally pushing those chemicals
Yeah.
in. Um, Versus with the true microcurrent, you are not dependent on the product. The product penetration is a side benefit,
Yes.
as I suggest, but
Hmm.
it's talking to those muscles. It's building ATP. It is building blood circulation. It is creating shortening of those muscles that needs lifting,
Yes.
or lengthening of those muscles that needs to be relaxed.
Hmm.
It is creating and reducing those fine lines. So all those benefits, there are
Hmm.
8 different benefits that true microcurrent can bring,
Okay.
and product penetration would be just one of
Just
them.
one nice part. Like you said, it's a nice little addition to what it does, but it's not what's so exciting, the most exciting
Yeah.
part of what's happening there. So when you have a microcurrent device with only one pole, you're really doing galvanic, and it's excellent for product penetration, but it's not going to be a true microcurrent device. And it's unfortunate that they label them and sell them as microcurrent devices because it's so confusing for
Yeah.
the layperson, the person at home wanting to do microcurrent.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So another thing that we're seeing a lot on the market, another technology, it used to be used years ago, and all of a sudden now it's making a huge resurgence, and that is EMS, which is
Yeah.
electrical muscle stimulation. Some people think that's microcurrent because it makes those muscles twitch, which in true microcurrent, we don't want those muscles to twitch because that's decreasing
Correct.
the ATP, not increasing. So, can you talk to us a little bit about what your thoughts on EMS?
Yes. EMS or ferratic is what they used to call it way back in decades ago. It is a technology, of course, that is talking to the muscles, but it is delivering milliamps. Milli, so 1,000 microamp is 1 milliamp. It is huge. It's very, very strong current.
So your body's like,
And
ah, yeah,
yeah,
what's
so
happening here?
these are the currents that were really beneficial that are still being used in physical therapy
Mm-hmm.
for our body muscles like quadriceps and hamstrings, for rehabilitation, for
Mm-hmm.
your rectus and abdominis, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. They need milliamps to work out. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking about the neck and the face muscles, they are too detrifying. So a lot of times people think that twitching of the muscles is doing something,
Mm-hmm.
but in reality, it is creating inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
So if in immediate term you see plumpiness,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times you will touch it and it will be squishy, and
Mm-hmm.
that means that it has created the lactic acid and it has created a lot of inflammation. And over time, it is killing those facial muscles,
Yes.
and it's not a benefit that you want to create
And
and use.
when we create that puffy kind of fullness, I like almost call it saggy puffiness. It also decreases collagen production. So it might be really fun for now, but in the long run, it is going to decrease your collagen production, and you're going to have what we call soggy puffiness rather than firm plumpness. Does that
Yes,
describe it? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And as you said, that ATP is also reduced substantially. It's depleted instead of the 500% increase that you
Right.
can get through true microcurrent. So
I love that.
gentle and less is more.
500%.
Yes,
500% increase in ATP when we do true microcurrent. I love that.
exactly.
I love it. So let's see. I think I want to open it up. Let's see if we have some questions. No questions. Oh, we're keeping everybody entertained. So you guys who are out there, if you have questions, this is your time to start throwing them at us. In the meantime, I will ask questions and get some clarification because I know there's people been asking me sometimes, Pooja, when clients are working with their Myolift, they're having trouble with conductivity. The little bar is flashing when they're on their neck. They're finding it's fine on their face, but the neck is a little more challenging. Can you speak to that?
Yes. So, neck is a very challenging muscle. It is platysma. It is like a very thin paper, but it is the biggest muscle around in our face and neck area. So it is thin. So when you are targeting the platysma, you should be on the lower setting. Sometimes people are on the higher thinking that it is
Because I want the most
stronger.
work. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So if you, couple of things need to be done. This is also the area where it's dehydrated the most. It is the area where you can possibly stretch your two probes too far apart. So
Okay.
when you are working on the face, on the neck platysma, you should keep them a little bit closer to each other. You should also try to apply any kind of, like we have hyaluronic acid based replenish toner or spritzer or magnesium, some kind of hydration before you apply the gel. So that is going to create a little more channel of overcoming the skin resistance. And then you can target that and keep them closer, but keep it on level one.
That makes so much
And that
sense.
should help.
So it's a very delicate area, almost like the eyes, and we like to dial down for the eyes, so we also need to dial down for the neck.
Exactly.
Really great
Yes.
advice. Thank you. So you
Um,
mentioned spraying the ionic minerals, magnesium or whatever, on before your conductive gel.
yeah.
So is that because we do it the opposite around here? Probably doesn't make that much difference, but that would be worth could be worth experimenting with us. Spraying the spritz, then putting on our conductive gel is going to increase that hydration in the skin, and that could actually really help with the people that are having trouble in
Yes,
this area.
and it also helps because sometimes, especially now that we are entering into the summertime, the skin is going to start being more dehydrated than normal. This will help for the gel to be hydrated longer, and you don't have to apply as much,
Okay.
so it doesn't become goopy and crepey.
Yeah,
But because of the spritzer, it will help to keep that hydration.
I love
And
that.
yeah.
I love that.
Otherwise, what happens is the skin just soaks up
It
all the
does.
moisture,
It does.
and then it
And I
just dries.
have clients that reach out and say they put on their conductive gel and it just disappears so fast. So it's getting, maybe reversing that order of your spritzing first. And I'm also always telling people drink a full glass of water before you
Yes,
even start
for
your
sure,
treatment. Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Um, there's something that I also wanted to bring up, of course,
yeah.
that we have these three waveforms, and because we have the Rejuve now, it is so great to clarify and then go into working on the muscles. So you're having like a start of a clean slate and getting rid of the toxins that is going to be so beneficial. I've had such great success, and we love the whole enchilada, the treatment.
Yeah, yeah. Always starting with Rejuve and then adding in your other treatments along the way. Now, clients ask all the time, so I'll ask you this question. How often do you think a person can do Rejuve? How often can a person do Erase and Educate? Is there a difference? Do you have recommendations for that?
Absolutely. So, in general, having the true microcurrent in your Triwave, you are safe to use it every day, but you shouldn't.
Okay.
2 to 3 times a week will be sufficient because you are having this clarifying. You can work on detox or clarifying your skin, uh, either once a week and that should be sufficient. But if you're seeing that you're starting and you have had these issues of eczema or any kind of acne or inflammation, then you should do it a little more aggressive. And as I said, 2 to 3 times a week should be great.
Okay.
You can start using with the Rejuve and then erase and educate.
Okay. And the same with educate. I have to admit that sometimes I like to do it more often. I like to come in here and lift those brows, and I like to do that several times a week. Is that a problem, or should I do it
Mm.
less often?
No, actually, this is great. If you have a specific problem area that
Hmm.
you want to work on, while you are doing the treatment, focusing on it and staying longer is absolutely normal and a good thing.
Okay.
Also, doing it more often, specifically in in those areas. You do want to have a little gap of 24 to 36 hours so that your muscles, because it is working for those
Yes,
24
it is.
hours and building the ATP.
Yeah.
And just like you work out and going into the gym, don't want to overwork it.
Hmm.
So having a little break will give
Okay.
those muscles to rejuvenate and then get back
I love
on
that.
it.
24 to 36 hours in between your treatments. So I don't need to do it every day. It's great. I
That's
see
right.
Ben approaching me, so I think we have some questions here. Alea says, hi, which device would you recommend for a treatment room? The Triwave or the 600?
I would suggest, of course, TriWave is more for a prosumer, at-home user. Of course, it can be used as professionally as well because it offers Rejuve that can work on clarifying and on bringing in the muscles and working out. It's delivering true microcurrent, but it goes up to 400 microamp. So if you have more clients and regulars that you need to juice it up, it's like having more weights in the gym. 600 would be beneficial because it goes up to 600 microamps, but 600 doesn't have yet the any kind of clarifying waveform. So for that reason, TriWave has been a really our new launch and exciting device to have.
Yeah, and from my experience working on myself, my staff, people that I have coming in my treatment room, we never use 400. We never go up that high. But I know that Pooja has a lot more experience than I do, and I know there probably are certain individuals where you would go that high. But for
Mhm.
me, the trade-off would be I would want that Rejuve setting if I had to choose between 600 amp and Rejuve, I would
Right.
choose. Yeah, Rejuve.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we have another question here. Joseph, good morning, Joseph. He says, where does your brand name come from? 7E Wellness.
Yes. So
A good question.
that's a great question. Seven is a number that we found most of the things in universe, seven chakras, seven colors in the rainbow. And there are seven elements of wellness and well-being that we offer through our technology, through our education. And that's where the seven elements of wellness became 7E wellness.
Ah, seven elements. I love that. It's very holistic. You're bringing in a very holistic approach to what you do. And by keeping that in your name, it's helping you to stay focused on that as well, isn't it? Yeah, I love it. Okay, that is all of our questions for today.
Okay.
I love it. Thank you so much, Pooja, for coming on and sharing your knowledge and your passion with us. You know, there's a lot of technologies out there, and it's nice to bring someone in who knows the background, knows what do these other technologies do and are they worthwhile.
Yeah,
So,
no, thank you,
yeah,
Jeana.
yeah,
It has been great. Thank you so much for
yeah,
having me.
yeah. Thank you for being here. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.